Welcome to the Sheepless Life podcast. We are your hosts, Yvonne de la Flor and Severine Nassens. We have created this podcast as an extension of our Sheepless Life online program, and we invite you to join us as we go into honest, raw, and from time to time controversial conversations on everyday topics, womanhood, empowerment, motherhood, business, sisterhood, leadership, and life in general. Sit back, relax, feel free to take notes, and reach out to us on our social media to keep the conversation going. Join us on this interview edition of the Sheepless Life podcast with Emily Frisella, the twice published author of best-selling cookbooks, chef, creator of Fit Home and Health, co-host of Food in Session Nutrition podcast, founder of the Women in Business Workshop, COO of 24/7 Media, digital course creator, business coach, and speaker. Emily shares her story, how resourcefulness and resilience play an important role in life and business, and she explains the concept of win versus WooWoo. She's an extraordinary human being, a badass, elegant, and graceful woman with a contagious spirit who truly cares about people and their success in life. Welcome to the Sheepless Life podcast, and as Yvonne just mentioned, we have a very special guest with us today. A lady we both admire and we look up to. She has a very bubbly personality, a very high energy, and it is absolutely a true honor to welcome Emily Frisella to the Sheepless Life podcast. She will be sharing her insights and her view and take on business, on life, and on the future with us. So without further ado, please, the microphone is all yours, ladies.
Okay, I gotta start because Severine, it sounds like a church. There's an echo. This is like a holy moment for me.
You guys are too nice.
Well, we have Miss Emily Frisella here. I first want to say I'm so grateful to this lady, woman, businesswoman, because with one coaching session I received with her, literally, I transformed my social media, my business, and my whole focus on my life. It's been months and I'm still benefiting from the ripple effect of me implementing her advice. I'm in a process that we'll talk to Emily in a moment, which is called on WooWoo in my business right now, of removing lots of programs, of rebranding, et cetera, and it's just been life-changing. So I want to start with gratitude. It's a privilege to have you. And Emily, I'm going to hand the microphone to you because, you know, they've heard a lot of me, and it's a podcast for you. And would love for you to start, obviously, introducing yourself and telling the women that are going to listen to us your story of your business from when you were 15, 19, 20. I think women need to know that your business background is a life background that started since really young. So the microphone is all yours, love.
Yeah. So my name is Emily Frisella. I am in St. Louis, Missouri, and I grew up in Missouri my entire life. I grew up on a row crop and cattle farm. My dad was an entrepreneur. He owned trucking companies and brokerage firms. And so I saw that entrepreneurship lifestyle at a very early age. I saw that it was never a 9-to-5 gig or anything like that. So I was like, it's something that I've always wanted to do. And I saw that, and I love that. I saw the hard work that went in it. I saw the, tireless amount of energy you have to, keep moving forward and keep your employees going and keep your brand building. I saw that firsthand. So I feel like that was just such a blessing for me. My mom raised my sisters and I, and my dad ran his companies. And, we had a very wonderful household. It's almost like people in our hometown tease us that we were the Waltons. My parents have been married 46 years. They still flirt like they're, dating, which is so gross when you're like their child and they're like, grabbing butts and stuff and like flirting or whatever. But I grew up with just such a wonderful upbringing. And it was just, I feel so blessed for that. So when I was 14 years old, I wanted my first job. I wanted to earn some money. I wanted to make money. And so I took my first job at 14. And then about 3 months after that, I took a second job. So this was in the summertime. So I was working 2 jobs. I was also, I played volleyball. So I was an athlete as well. So I would work when the school started, I would work these 2 jobs I'd work one after school, and then I work another job on the weekends. And I really, I don't know what it was. I feel like I was smarter than maybe I gave myself credit for back then, because I remember thinking, well, I'll work this job the days they need me Monday through Thursday, but then I'll work my waitressing job Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because that's when it's busy and that's when I'm going to make all the tips. So I knew I'd make more money putting one job before the other and the days I was going to be available to work. So I worked really hard and saved this money because I knew I wanted to have a business. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And my parents, they would tell us like, well, don't rent. You need to buy, invest in your real estate and stuff. So that was my envision of, okay, I'm going to start a business, but I want to be able to own my building, not just my business. So, when I was 19, so I saved a lot of money. I worked as hard as I could. And when I was 19, I bought my first house and then I renovated it and gutted it and did all that jazz to it. So I had my first property, which was a big benefit because then I was able to have that one, like building your credit and everything like that. But then when I was 20 years old, I bought my first building for my business. I bought my first brick and mortar building, bought the property and such. And then I opened a luxury boutique flower shop and I got into like tuxedo rentals, wedding rentals. I did wedding planning, event planning, the whole shebang. So I operated that company for about 5 years, and then I sold it and then moved on. But to backtrack a little bit, while going through, saving money to open this business and stuff, I was a young kid. I was 20 years old. Thought, you know how it is. Your ego is like in full rage at 20 because you think you know everything.
Oh, at 20, at 40, at 50, at 60, you gotta keep that thing in check.
That is true. Your ego evolves with your age. So my 20-year-old ego thought I knew everything. And my dad had been an entrepreneur for, 40 years, but I'm like, I don't need any help from him. Like, I'm so dumb at this point, right? So I didn't understand the operations of a business. It was literally like a crash course. I didn't understand, the cash flow management and invoicing and terms on invoices and all that kind of stuff. Well, I managed my way through pretty good, but what happened was I was 20 years old. I had this business and I was like wanting to be, hot stuff. And I bought a ton of like this beautiful inventory. I had a beautiful showroom. It was just gorgeous. But yet I didn't have cash flow coming in because we were billing people every month. So I would be like broke by the end of the month, not understanding I needed to better understand my cash flow management. So the tipping point for me in business, and I always want to share this because people think, oh, wow, 20, you have a business. That's so crazy. Like it's so successful. Not really. Success comes through a lot of mistakes, and the successes come through the failures because you're learning from them. So my biggest failure was in business. I let my ego get in the way. I didn't ask for help. I thought I knew it all. I was too proud to ask for help. So what happened was one day I had 6 full-time employees. One of my employees came to me and said, hey, the bank won't cash my check. They said there's no money in your account. And I was, immediately I'm like, oh, that's crazy. They messed up on something. I don't know. Give me your check. So I took it up to the bank. And this is before they had online banking and things like that. So you couldn't actually check. You had to wait for your monthly statements. Well, sure enough, I had grossly mismanaged my funds from what I thought I had to what was there. And there's no money in the bank. I had $42.86 and that was it. And so I drove home, got my savings account and went back to the bank and withdrew money for my employees to cover all their paychecks and told them that I couldn't even own up to it. I lied. And I said, the bank messed up something with my account. So until we get it straightened out, I'm just going to have to pay you guys cash until we get it going. I didn't know what else to do. So I paid my employees cash for about 2 weeks and I had to hustle like I've never hustled before in order to get my, bank account back so I could actually operate my business because I had a mortgage on that company or on the building and everything else. So I began to be resourceful. And this is why I'm so passionate about teaching people how to be resourceful and resilient. And, a lot of people are resourceful, therefore they're resilient, or they're resilient and they become resourceful. So you're either one of those two. And resourcefulness truly saved me because I was able to find different ways to, work my business to get advertisements out there. And I even came up with a thing. I called it a dead bouquet for people's like 30th, 40th, 50th, 60th birthdays. I sold literally dead flowers and stems. I stuck it in a dry foam. I made spider webs out of hot glue and made it stretchy, put a spider on it, and I put balloons with it. And I was reselling trash and people were buying it. So like that's the level of resourcefulness that I was getting to build my business back up. And within, it was about an 8 to 9 month span, I had built it up into the mid 6 figures because I became so hungry because I had to hit that bottom point of that $42.86 for me to bounce back. So it's really important that when you're going through stuff like this, that you keep in mind, like, we all know that, like, when you're going through stuff, you're going through it. You don't care, like, oh, the lesson you're going to learn later or anything else. And I didn't either. I was just in panic mode. But it really is one of the most beautiful things I ever learned in life, of, to teach me to be resourceful in all areas of my life. So anyway, I sold my business. And moved to St. Louis. What happened was I was married at the time, and, I worked a lot, and there was just, I married this man at high school, great person. We're just, we just weren't right for each other. We grew up together type of thing, and you kind of grew up and then you kind of grow apart, which I feel like is common whenever it's someone, when you're very young.
Yes, I've gone through two of those.
Yeah. So it was the same kind of thing. Like, we were very young. Yeah. We weren't quite adults yet. I got married when 3 months after I turned 19, so I was barely 19 years old. And, so we were, it was something that was a problem between us. You know what I mean? Like, I was working so much, and, he would just kind of, he wasn't happy with me working so much. And I was just like, you know what? I said, fine. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sell the business. That way I would try to, work on our relationship and, make it better if I didn't have this business. So I said, okay, I'll sell the business. And I put it up for sale the next morning. In 3 hours, my business, the building, everything was sold. I wasn't quite ready for that. I didn't expect it to sell in 3 hours. So then I sold the business, and then probably about a year later, I got divorced, and then I moved into St. Louis and started working here. And then that's where I met my now husband, working at the company that I was at. And then I was working at a company for a few years. Well, I couldn't say a few, it was like about 7 years. And I was like, I started writing my cookbooks and stuff. And then my husband, Andy, was like, he's like, what if you just went into this full time and started doing your cookbooks and, get that done? Because I could only do it on the weekends, or on the evenings after work. And so I decided in December of 2014 that I would go back after Christmas and give my notice. And then I left there in February 2015. And I've been doing my thing since.
Wow.
That is a long story. I'm so sorry.
No. Stories like yours are the worthy stories to tell. And let me tell you what, I come from a background that I have had a near-death experience. I value life and honesty more than anything. I'm a spiritual realist. That's why I resonate so much with you, with what your husband does, is the realism of things, because you can't skip it. A couple of points that you said that I want to emphasize. Failure, you said when you go through things, you go through them. Winston Churchill says, when you're going through hell, keep going. Yes. You got to go through it and earn the right. And that's what I feel from you. Yep. You value life. You are one of the persons, I want to tell you the truth, after my first coaching session, I'm going to bring some WooWoo in. I cried.
Just a little, no.
I cried because I met through you, the genuine care for humans to rise and be realistic. And in my spiritual work, I'm trying to convey that, which is it's a challenge, but you bring that. And I cry because it was just such a refreshing thing to see that there are real people serving humans with practical tools, with tactical. I think those are the words that you use, right? Real, practical, tactical, to up-level people. And your story is not only a story of the past, it's a story of success that anybody that pays attention, I would recommend for everyone to be pausing the podcast and making notes. Understand that this lady, Miss Emily, at 15, she was working 2 jobs. At 19, she got a home. At 20, she sold a business. You've earned the right for your success. Success is not given, it's earned. And I think this story is far much more rich. We are so grateful that you took this time just to share it. So, wow, I'm very moved. So, which brings me to the second, since I already brought a little woo-woo into the confession of, I genuinely cried, and thanks to you, I went into arete. Thanks to you, a lot of people in Latin America, I do want to tell you, pay tribute, because tribute, you pay tribute where tribute is due. Both Serene and I completed 75 hard. and then lots of people are
That
Latin
is
America.
amazing. I love to hear that. That is so
And
that
we
gives
have
me, I have chills. I have chills.
Yeah, it was a rite of passage for leadership, for
Yeah.
us more than and for more for especially for me in my case, and Serene can tell you eventually, but for me, I felt it was earning the right to the next level of my leadership and where I want to go. It was not a fitness program, which it was too. It was not.
Yeah, it's like a bonus byproduct of it,
Oh
you
my
know?
gosh, a
Absolutely.
super bonus because I look better.
I know. I saw your pictures on Instagram. Yeah.
Yes, and Severin looks so hot.
Yeah.
He looked so hot, but for me, I really felt that it was such a rite of passage, very similar to my near-death experience. But anyways, but I now that I brought a little woo-woo, of
Yeah.
like feeling the genuine gratitude. I went into Arete thanks to you. I went into 75 Hard by following you. We've been doing your recipes I have your books here.
Yes, I see your
Everything.
posts. I appreciate it so much.
Yes. Well, tell me about the woo-woo, removing woo-woo out of business, because this is, I believe, you said something very quickly, and then I'll hand the microphone to you too, because you said resourcefulness and resilience. This is something I learned by dying. Literally, you were between 15 and 19, you were owning your businesses and having a home. I was dying. I literally was dead and had, my arm was cut, my leg was out. I had to be resourceful, resilient, and adapt. And those two skills that you have, Emily, are what are needed right now in the world.
Mm-hmm.
People that are not resourceful and resilient and adapting, they're going to have a challenging time with what's going. And I think that gift that you bring of resourcefulness and resilience is what on woo-woo, I'm calling it on woo-woo method. Yeah. Why is it so important to remove the woo-woo out of business and life?
It's realization. It's working within reality. Like you just said, now, like at the state of our, country right now, there's a lot of uncertainty and people that aren't doing, everybody's not doing exactly what they used to. We get that. Everybody understands that, but it has to be a mindset shift to where you understand, okay, things are not the way they were. They're not, there's no promise as to when it's going to be like that. So what can I do now? What is in my control? You are the only one that's in control of you. You're in control of your health, your time, and your diet, right? So what can I control that's going to benefit me? And that's where the importance comes from. The win over woo-woo, that's what I always say with my ladies group, the woo-woo is in business. I feel like it's come on like some sort of like bad rash that just won't go away. So what it is that, it seems like that this glitter and all this glitz and this feel good and the you are enough and the little pats on the back if you just do the stuff the minimal work you're supposed to do anyway, that doesn't teach you any sort of lesson. That doesn't give you any drive. That doesn't help your mental toughness develop into being an absolute winning machine. People want to win. They don't just want to feel good about doing their job. Like you want to feel good about it, but you're winning because I feel like I win because I'm helping other people. I'm not telling them what they just like the fluffy feel good stuff. Like I always tease, like, glitter doesn't pay the bills. And that's the truth.
No.
You need to be able to be real with people because people recognize real and people always feel like if they make you feel good, you're going to like them. That's false. People know when you're feeding them a line of BS, right? It's when you can tell people like, you know what? I know you're doing it this way, but actually it's going to be more beneficial if you do it this way. Or I feel like, I just had to approach a friend of mine that's been a little off course lately and complaining about it. And I had to have that, talk with them and say, you know what, you're off course because of this. I can see this from the outside. And they got really mad at me for about 3 days and then came around and said, you know what, you're right. Like, sorry, I got so defensive about it. And I didn't say that to hurt their feelings. I said it out of love because I want them to do better. And if we all were able to treat people with a little bit more win attitude instead of this woo-woo attitude, people would be able to drop the lies and the delusions and be able to really step into themselves and see what their potential is and keep chasing that potential because you never can really fully reach it because you keep growing and evolving as a human to be able to live our best lives.
Yes.
Emily, I wanted to say preach, Emily, but actually no, reaching. I know your husband has a great podcast and he has people, a pastor there, but these feels now like the win versus woo arena. And I think we can call the podcast like that, win versus woo, because for me, for example, that I'm in spirituality, it's always been a challenge because I hate fluff. Hate
Right.
it with all of my soul, because I
Yeah.
know how it detours people from their own greatness. I even don't say good morning. I always say morning, and people get to choose if it's good or bad. That's
Absolutely.
the level of exaggeration. But I think, if people bring this into their own selves and understand that it's not personal, and understand that what you are delivering, and offering to them, is a way for them to literally remove all of the facades, all of the masks, and all of
Yes.
the identification with their
Yep.
vested identities and lies of being nice, of being of pleasing people. Pleasing people is the one of the things I would like to see eradicated in the world, because it leases your power away to someone that doesn't even want it. And so
Right.
I think you bring with this the win versus woo, right? Win more, you bring more resource
Yeah.
resources to the resourcefulness, more strategies. That's when systems really get to work, because the foundation that is not built on reality will immediately crumble, no matter how much. That's why a lot of businesses fall. They have great systems, but if they
Right.
don't have great foundations, and you are talking about it in a way, great values, core values, and a win mentality, they're not going to make it. And
Right.
so, wow.
And
So,
well, and it's something where like when people, it's about telling the truth, really. I mean, that's really
yes,
what it boils down to. And a lot of people don't want to hurt other people's feelings, and they have a hard time with that. But the thing is that if you have someone that's going through a tough time, and you can see what they need to do to be resourceful, to bounce back, but you don't want to hurt their feelings because maybe you think, they might have stumbled and, fallen, and you're trying to get them back on track. But what friend would you rather have? The one that says, it's okay, you know what, you're enough, just go relax and just, get at it tomorrow? Or do you want the person that says, you know what, to fix this, we need to do X, Y, Z, and then you give them a plan of action?
absolutely.
That's the friend you want.
Yes.
Emily, for
This
me,
is so good.
like this is for me like the equivalent. For some women love diamonds and shoes. I don't. I love this. This is like what like inspires me in my life. Wow.
No, I agree, because I get the same from you. Like I shared you before we started recording. Like you exude that calm and that centered energy, but it's like you're a badass. You know what I mean? So like
I get that as an incredible tribute. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's true though. It's just I'm the same way that I like to talk to people that that it fuels me up. Like I always get fired up after calls like this because I'm like, all right, let's go run through a wall. Like
You're totally. This is super Emily. It's there's no space here for any alter ego. One of my mentors said that the alter ego of Wonder Woman is Diana, and the real person is the Wonder Woman. And I think that's really who you are. But I'm really moved, Emily, by the genuine care you have. I was so surprised. I came to you. I remember my first coaching session with you, and I was like, when do we have our next session? Like honoring your time, and you're like, whenever you are ready. I was not used to that. I come from the high ticket, very other type of mentorship that you do it when I say and everything, and I kind of like very hard mentorship, very
yeah.
very not value oriented people. We want you to win and actually implement what I gave you, because I'm still implementing every recommendation you told me. I'm
I
still
love that.
cleaning my
Thank you.
Instagram, just for you to know. I'm like, what did I publish over these years? It's costing me so much time, but it's the truth. But I really love the genuine care you
Thank
have
you.
for people, for your clients, for them to make the choice, for them to fall, for them to create their own results. This is something I really value and honor. And so, wow, I could just talk and
Thank
talk
you.
and
No,
talk.
I appreciate that a lot. And I feel like, what you just mentioned there, about, everybody, and that's something too, that everybody kind of works at their own pace though, too. And I'm not just saying that, like, I'm not trying to reiterate what you said and like toot my horn. It's not about that. That's not really in my, I just want people to be ready for it. But in general, just everything in business, it's like people are going to work at different paces, and you have to understand that. And people, the processing time and you don't want to, people don't want to drink from a fire hose where they have so many things to do, where they end up having like paralysis by analysis. There's too many things to do. So if someone feels like they're in this space of, I have so much stuff to do, either starting their business, they're trying to clean up their business, they're trying to start a new business, whatever it might be, it's important for everybody to take a step back and really I always say, write down everything you have to get done and plan for it. Plan for those things to get done that you can take off in a digestible manner so you feel like you're ready. Because when you feel ready, you feel prepared. When you feel prepared, you feel confident. When you feel confident, you perform better. And that's the key.
Wow. Everybody, just whenever, whoever is listening, rewind, pause, write. She just gave us a system. When you feel ready, you're prepared. That's a whole system right there. And I love how you do this by priorities, needs, and wants.
I'm literally looking at my notepad right now because I'm working on it after the podcast.
I have you in my priority list. Even I have you in my needs. I have you in my wants. Honestly, I want to tell you something. I want to confess, since we started with an echo of a church, I have you in something I call futuring board. I don't do goal setting boards. I'm not like a vision setter. I'm more like futuring, and I begin to work from the future, now into to earn that. But I have you in a list of like my desired people that I wanted to meet.
Oh my gosh! Hopefully at an Arte event we can meet.
Oh, I'll be there.
That would be so fun.
I have you, Mr. Tim Grover, and everyone has been.
Tim is so great.
Oh my gosh,
he's so like 100 times. Like you could not imagine him any better, but in person, he's even 100 times better. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't think.
I met him in person, and I almost got. I pretended that I was not like starstruck, but I just had my cool, and I was like,
"But you're getting sweaty and
look at my eyes, like Michael, like Michael Jordan, but I'm on the floor." Anyway, so. Oh my gosh, we're so grateful for you, Emily. Save you want to ask? I'm
here.
Something, yes.
Yeah, I'm still here, and I'm taking notes, plenty.
I have
taking plenty of notes, and I really love the way you mentioned the resourcefulness and resilience. I think those are key elements, and also the truth. This is like a Truth Crusaders club. We're all striving for people to stand more in their truth. It's really important for me to be standing in my truth before I can help others, and helping others through your truth and helping them see theirs is, I think, is one of the most valuable things that we as coaches can do to help people get where they really want to go. And talking about the future, we'd love to hear from you what your vision is for the future of women.
I think women are starting to realize that it's more of this win over woo mentality. And I'm saying this just based upon my women's group that I have, my workshop that I do. The first one, it was a new thing a couple of years ago, but it's gaining so much momentum because so many women are waking up from this glitter infested world that we've been surrounded with, of thinking we have to have pink, pretty notebooks and feather pens in order to be, successful. And women are taking the stage where they're not a backseat to, anyone else. They're like, I want to stand up. I want to do my own thing. I want to have my own pride. I want to have my own ownership of things. They don't just want to sit in the back burner anymore. And they're getting more hungry to showcase their talents, showcase that, women. I was watching the convention last night with everything going on with the election, and it was talking about how, women are showcased so much more because like they're detail oriented and they have so many other, so many great offerings for companies that they're finally stepping into that and not being afraid of that. Because, you spoke just previously about, you're speaking your truth and being your truth. And you know what? The truth honestly makes life a hell of a lot easier. And I feel that women are realizing that, you know what, it's okay to want more. It's okay to want to be successful. It's okay to want to, out earn your friends and stand out, amongst the crowd and things. Like, I feel like it's finally a point where it's that tipping point of, you know what, I can be a badass. I can be a great wife. I can rock my business. I can be a great mom. I can do all the things wonderfully. And I feel like there's that wake up is happening right now.
Yeah, and I think there's also a great shift in that women are realizing that we can do this with elegance. We can do this with grace. We don't have to become a manly version of ourselves to be able to succeed.
And you don't have to, and you don't have to try to be rough around the edges. You don't have to try to, curse and carry on and be who you aren't, because that's not your truth. If that's not who you are, it's not who you are. So don't be someone else. Try to do that. And like you said, yeah, there's a gritty elegance to business with women. It's that where you want to get down and dirty and get that stuff done, but you can do it with grace and ease.
Yes, absolutely.
I love this, Emily. I love everything that you've been sharing. I really have like so many notes right now,
You are so, thank you.
This is such an incredible blessing because we've served women and we've tried to convey these messages of removing the mask, of owning their truth, of not wanting it, easy, not wanting just to be nice, but be truthful. That's the most again, in the work of really knowing who you are, the most beautiful gift you can render to another human being is the truth. In first being the truth of yourself, and then, if you see a way that you can help, be that helper. And again, I want to emphasize the way you have of not forcing, but getting things done. And the vision of the future you have for women is a vision whose time has come. We need to, keep removing the woo-woo out of our self-created victimization system. We need to take responsibility only every day, 100% of the time for what we can do. And we just got to keep rising. And just one more question, Emily. Yeah. What is your next workshop? I'm like hunting. I know you said, because I watch your Insta stories and everybody was sending you messages like, can we pre-reserve? I'm just hunting for the moment you
So I'm going to put the tickets available. The next one is scheduled for June 6th through the 8th. Let me make sure it's correct. Because I was thinking like, I'll do a fall one too, but I can't with all the COVID stuff going on. And you know what I mean? It's too difficult this year. So next year I'll want to do 2 of them, but it's going to be next June. It's going to be a full 3-day event, the 6th, 7th, and 8th, which is a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And I'm so excited. I've got the speakers lined up, got everything. I mean, it's like pretty much already buttoned up. I just haven't put tickets for sale yet. So tickets are going to go up in December for that event.
Yes, because I want to recommend everyone listening, everyone that has followed me over the years to really get to know more of Emily. She's the real thing in business, in life, as a wife. And I do want to highlight someone too, your dogs.
Yes.
My son has we read all of the books of Otis and Charlie. Charlie comes to us we have an office where I do homeschool. Charlie comes to homeschool. Otis just does Kung Fu. I just wanted to highlight Otis and Charlie. That is so
cute. Dude, they're so much fun. Like we have such a good time with those dogs. We're like, they're just like little random weird toddlers in fur. Because
they're family members. I want to acknowledge that because
they have so much personality.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention them and pay tribute to them.
I'll have to tell Andy that tonight. He'll get a kick out of it.
Yes, well, Emily, I think we came to, I think you gave us some macro master class on this podcast. I'm going to recommend everyone to rewind, pause, take notes, implement. Rewind, take notes, pause, implement. And implement, get one result, repeat it, practice it, and go to the next. Because this is wisdom in motion. This is someone that is sharing not just from a motivational way. This is a woman that really loves life, by the way. Everything she does goes to that one thing of genuine being a good human, of values of character, of getting results. I think you create results for a living. That's how I would put you.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
And but I really recommend the women listening to us that. So thank you, Emily, again for this opportunity. I feel really privileged. Both Severine and Severine sent me a message yesterday. I'm a little nervous. I don't answer to her because I'm more nervous than her, and I'm just gonna calm down. I'm just gonna calm down.
Let's talk about that though. I've done these so many, and I always still get a little nervous too. That's why I was panicking. You guys like, oh my gosh, my Google Chrome, blah blah blah. But it's like you always get a little nervous because you know what? people think that that's a bad thing. Nervousness is a gift. Nervousness, it shows that you care. It shows you care about that. Think about that. You get nervous before you walk down the aisle to get married. You get nervous before you have a baby. You get nervous for a first date. You get nervous when you're launching your first business because you care. So it's not a downfall. It's a good thing.
We have butterflies, proper butterflies in our stomach with Emily Frisella. We don't have it with the guys, but we do have them here. So, wow.
Well, thank you.
So, anything else, girls? I think we did like a masterclass podcast here. So we will recommend everything from you to everyone. And again, just tell us quickly, where can people follow your podcast? We will add it, but just tell them about your podcast really quickly, because we want to pay tribute to your podcast since you joined
thank
our
you.
podcast.
Yeah, it's just a food and session podcast. It's like a health and nutrition, but for the real world. And it's health and nutrition, but a lot of like fun, random banter with my co-host Mindy and I.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Emily. Thank you, Seve. I think
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. I had so much fun.
Oh, thank you, Angel.
So did we. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will hear everybody next time. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, share it and tag us at Sheepless Life. We'd also love to hear from you. Join us on Facebook and Instagram, and sign up for the free masterclass we've recorded for you on Sheepless Living on www.sheeplesslife.com. Step out of the herd, become radically you, and create the future you really want.